storms, dust, and stronger tropical disturbances. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. Great to see you for the latest video. I really hope you're doing well. Hey, coming up in this video, we have several areas of very impactful weather today. Some healthy thunderstorms, a lot of wind, some Saharan dust playing a factor, and we're going to get into deeper discussions of the tropical waves developing in the Atlantic and how strong they could be getting in just the next week and the impacts they could bring. As we get started, Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys offering free consultation and policy reviews. You get any kind of storm damage to your property, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. Want to support someone who supports the channel? Check out leanonmelaw.com. As always, want to hear from the Meteo Mundo weather community, what's been happening in your area. Maybe you've been under some of these thunderstorms today. Tropical wave moving through the central and the western Caribbean has kicked up the winds, the seas, and some healthy thunderstorm activity today. We have a lot of dust in portions of the greater Antilles through the Leeward Islands. Another tropical wave, though, is about ready to get into the lesser Antilles for the weekend. And you see two other waves developing in the basin of the Atlantic, and those could be the first ones to really keep an eye out here in the 2025 hurricane season. So let's get into what's happening across the area for today. We are going to start out west. This is our most impactful weather for today. Thunderstorms are breaking out. Big blob of tropical moisture right now, some gusty winds. The numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. A lot of this is still just north and east of the Bay Islands of Utila, Roatan, and Guanaja, but we've had some waves of rain move in. We've had some lightning, and again, just a lot of deep moisture. These are heavy downpours, and you can see all the live lightning data here at Meteo Mundo. These are really good thunderstorms that are developing. They're just going to basically be swinging their way into northern sides of Honduras, coastal Guatemala, Belize, and the Yucatan as we get deeper into today and then redevelop over tomorrow as well. So again, this is a wet, stormy forecast for places like La Ceiba and San Pedro Sula and Utila, Roatan, Guanaja, up towards Dangriga, San Ignacio, Belize City. Good 36-mile-an-hour breeze there. Just kind of almost squally weather than anything. You know, these wind gusts are approaching kind of tropical depression status, and that's kind of what you're seeing is squalls coming through. We've had some healthy thunderstorms in Cancun and Cozumel for today. Not great for the beachgoers there. Quieted down a little bit, but again, on the heels of that first activity, you've got all of this trying to work its way in. Even on the western sides of the Yucatan, Merida, Campeche areas, we've seen some thunderstorms and some gusty winds develop. So, you know, this entire northwest side of the Caribbean is in for a fairly active forecast over the next day or so before things quiet back down for us here. We'll swing over to the Cayman Islands, kind of on the periphery of some of this activity, but we've had some cloud coverage here and trying to develop a couple of thunderstorms to actually back build east over Grand Cayman, but most of that richer, deeper tropical moisture is just off towards you west. When I bring on the water vapor imagery, you can clearly see that again. This is a nice healthy spin. I'm not saying we need to monitor for tropical development. It doesn't look to be the case, but again, deep tropical moisture with this disturbance will provide some healthier downpours and the potential for some excessive rain. Before we get out of the Belize area, I want to mention that portions of Belize are under an excessive rainfall watch. Make sure you check in with your local government and officials, but we could have 2 to 4 inches of rain or up to 100 plus millimeters in some spots here in just the next 24 hours. It's becoming a little bit drier over Jamaica at this point in time. Now look, there's still going to be the opportunity for some thunderstorms across the area for today and throughout the rest of the weekend, but at this point in time, it's been a little bit quieter compared to the last several afternoons. Still going to favor western sides of the islands, especially Westmoreland and Hanover parishes, Montego Bay, Lucy, Negril, the Savile-Lamar areas for our best chance for some thunderstorms. Could still see a few scattered showers central in the interior sections as well, but you know, again, might be a little bit more few and far between throughout the day today. We have kicked back up the large wave and strong wind advisory. We've had very gusty winds across the area for today. I'm going to bring those on for you guys right now. This is the wind direction, and the wind arrows will tell the story of their strength as well. When you get into the purple and pinks, you're into 20 to 25 mile an hour winds. Now through the windward passage, eastern sides of Cuba back to Turks and Caicos. You have near gale conditions right now. Santiago de Cuba up to a 37-mile-an-hour breeze. Scattered showers and thunderstorms through Nicaragua back towards Costa Rica and Panama. Again, some of that is producing some heavier rainfall. You want to talk about some gusty winds? We've had that over the ABC Islands for today as well, mainly an east to a northeast breeze. Bonaire, Curacao, and Aruba have all had very healthy winds of over 30 miles an hour from time to time. Bonaire today actually had a very solid 37-mile-an-hour wind gust. If you don't know, maybe you're new to the channel, we have live cameras here at Meteo Mundo to help tell the weather story in your area. This is a live look to Oranjestad. It's a beautiful late afternoon. Again, clear skies, better rain chances on the way, but late today, things are looking absolutely fantastic. Still a bit of a breeze, but my goodness, what a beautiful shot there from Aruba. All right, back to the weather computer. We'll swing our way back off towards the east. We've had very active weather in portions of the Lesser Antilles the last couple of days, especially down to the Windward Islands. Now, again, we have more tropical moisture to our south. We have more Saharan dust to our north. So there is a difference in what we've seen. Now, there is another tropical wave right here, just a couple hundred miles east of Barbados. This will begin to move into all of the Lesser Antilles starting late on Saturday and into Sunday, and this is going to elevate the rain chance again. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are breaking out at the hour over Port of Spain and Trinidad. We've had a few scattered showers over Tobago, still dry in Grenada. Best chance for storms right now is kind of off to the south, but again, more moisture is beginning to come back in. We've had some pretty gusty winds in Barbados, in St. Lucia, so from time to time over the weekend, you could absolutely see some kind of marine advisories issued for your area, small craft advisories of some sort. St. Lucia, solid 30-mile-an-hour wind earlier today, and live look outside for you right now. Shower moving through the Corinth area. You can clearly see that there just on the south side near the airport, pulling through. I'll take myself off camera. And you see a little bit there skirting on the waters as well. This is why we like to show you these cameras live here at Meteo Mundo, help to tell a weather story in your area. Again, these are brisk moving showers, not going to stick in any one location from time to time. And on the right-hand side of your screen, not only did a bird just try to attack me, but there's a little bit of blue sky out there. And again, we fought a little bit of dust in this area. It's not been nearly as concentrated this far south, but just to show you the water vapor imagery, when you get to St. Lucia and areas north, the air is drier with that Saharan air layer, which is much more prominent and thick. And that's what we've seen over the rest of the Windward Islands, the Leeward Islands for today. Back over to the enhanced satellite imagery, then I'm going to switch over to the visible here. Again, could we see some shallow, brisk moving showers in this area? Yes, mainly though dominated today by the Saharan air layer, brisk easterly winds and dry conditions, warming up a little bit as well. St. Martin had a 25-mile-an-hour breeze. Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts, Saba, St. Eustatius, Montserrat, St. Martin, Anguilla, again, all mainly dry across the area today. We've also had fast-moving showers, some locally heavy downpours on the southwest sides of Puerto Rico, but the winds have continued to be the big story today across the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico at the hour. This is what it looked like a little bit earlier. Isabel sent this in from Christiansted. Absolutely fantastic. Plenty of blue sky out there. Again, fast-moving breeze, but a little bit of Saharan air coming into play to drop the rain chance in Christiansted today. Now look, over the weekend, this entire area will start to see the rain chances begin to improve. We've seen a few thunderstorms on this Friday into the southwest sides of the island. Ponce's had a nice little 32-mile-an-hour breeze, and you can see from just south of Aguadilla back down towards the Yauco, Ponce areas, we've had some thunderstorms developing. We've even had a flood advisory from time to time, but it's been very localized in the southwest sides of Puerto Rico. Some of this has tried to sneak towards Punta Cana and La Romana over the Mode of Passage. We've seen some thunderstorms develop across, southern coastline, Bani, Santo Domingo, trying to get over towards San Pedro de Macorís, on over towards the La Romana area, Punta Cana, and again, a little bit drier up further north. Nice breeze over Port-au-Prince, Haiti at the hour. And again, we get back into this area here where the Saharan air layer is the dominant weather feature. And I'm talking about the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. It has turned dry. It has turned very hot for today. Let me bring on your current temperatures. They look like this, right around 90 degrees in Nassau, New Providence, Freeport, Lucaya there in Grand Bahama. But again, this doesn't tell the full weather story. The humidity is a factor as well. Is that outrageous? not outrageous. The dew point is 73 right now in Nassau, but when you factor that in, the heat index, or what it really feels like, is now 98 in Nassau, 98 in Freeport. It looks not much better across the rest of the islands. Even Grand Turk right now has a feels like temperature of 95. But if you live in these areas, it's dry, it's hot, and the Saharan air layer is playing a story. Live look outside to central Eleuthera. This is going to be Governor's Harbor on this Friday. Again, bit of a breeze. You know, it's interesting, not a ton of haze in the sky there right now, but that Saharan air layer concentration should get only thicker and more prominent across the Bahamas over the weekend, really limiting the rain chances there. All right, let's get into the forecast, friends, as we do so. Thanks for taking a quick second, liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you haven't. If you want these daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, of course, we're in the heart of hurricane season. Things starting to look a little bit more active. Appreciate you sharing this with your family and friends. Appreciate those who find other ways to support the channel as well. Our members are fantastic. You want to become a member of Meteo Mundo, 2 tiers. Supporter tier, just 99 cents a month. Team MM, $2.99 a month. You get access to exclusive member shorts. I kind of give you guys some, quick short videos, behind the scenes, kind of what I'm thinking, maybe some updates in between these forecasts. All right, Saharan dust forecast as we get into early next week. Another plume going to be marching its way in, but you notice that this one is not nearly as concentrated. Now, again, for the weekend, Bahamas, some areas of the Greater Antilles will be impacted by this. Even as far west as Jamaica and the Cayman Islands could see a little bit of haze coming in. And then the next plume is a little bit farther north. It's a little, more concentrated, but in a much smaller location. And we're starting to see the impacts of the Saharan air layer wind down here through the Atlantic. And it's exactly the time of the year when that happens. You turn the page to around August 1st, and the Saharan dust really does start to kind of go away a bit here. And that does allow those tropical waves to become more robust in the Atlantic basin. And that's what we're seeing. Again, we have 3 different tropical waves. One here that's just going to bring some brisk winds and some showers and a few thunderstorms to the Lesser Antilles over the weekend. Another one in the central Atlantic, which doesn't show any real signs of doing anything, but for the first time off of the West African coast. Doesn't this look a lot more classic, friends? Where we're seeing a tropical wave producing thunderstorms not far off of the West African coast and just looking a little bit better organized. The biggest thing is how much dry air does it have to fight as it tries to move off towards the west? Well, there is certainly still some drier air, but there's a lot more moisture overall lifting north in latitude. And that's going to be a factor in how these tropical waves develop as we get to the 1st of August. Put a pin in that for just a second. In the northwest side of the Gulf, we still have a 10% chance of development with this very broad area that's about ready to move into the Houston, Galveston area. I don't think it's going to become a tropical depression before it moves inland. It doesn't show any signs of actually trying to wrap up, but it is going to potentially bring some heavy and potentially flooding rains to portions of coastal Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. 2 to 4 inches of rain, a couple of these spots, locally higher amounts. There could be a couple of flood advisories or flash flood warnings issued in accordance with some of that deeper tropical moisture that's going to be moving in. So now we're going to get into the forecast. We're going to get into the forecast for the next couple of days first. Going to take it island by island, and then we're going to look into the tropics and to kind of look into the first week of August. Few things I want to point out as we do so. In the short term over the weekend, the Yucatan, Central America, wet, stormy, locally heavy rainfall. Can't rule out some flooding in some areas. Got to monitor that situation here along our Caribbean coastline, all the way from Cancun back down to San Jose and Panama City. Again, Belize City, the Bay Islands, San Pedro Sula, La Ceiba, locally heavy downpours. Again, the excessive rainfall watch for Belize. All very warranted with the kind of moisture that I expect to be in play and the widespread showers and storms that are likely to develop. We'll actually dry out a touch over the Cayman Islands and Jamaica over the weekend. Now look, again, still could get some downpours, some locally heavy rainfall, still could see some showers on the eastern sides of Jamaica. I hope the areas that are desperate for some rain. I know a lot of friends in the southeast side of Jamaica from the channel say, Rusty, we haven't had a drop in a while. That's tough to hear, but I hope you get some of that central western areas still with a better chance. Kingston has a decent chance over the weekend, but even better chances as you head again towards the western parishes, Montego Bay, Negril, Lucy, Savalomar, some of the cities with the higher opportunities. But I actually dry out a bit over Cuba as well because of the Saharan air layer, which will really put up the brakes on any opportunity for organized shower activity throughout the entire Bahamas island chain and Turks and Caicos. You're looking at a 10 to 20% chance for a shower to try and break some of the heat, but that is going to be the bigger story, just how darn hot it's going to be there over the weekend. Rain chances will be a little bit lower tomorrow. in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, as again, a little bit more concentration of dust moves through, but starting Sunday and into Monday, rain chances will be very high. And you see a lot of green on that map. Northeastern coastline, southern coastline, interior sections across the higher terrain and into Haiti, solid rain chances 60 to 70% as we get into Sunday and Monday. And that will be the case across the remainder of these areas, Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands as well. Again, a little bit drier tomorrow, a bit. But there's a lot of green on this map. That next tropical wave that's going to be moving into the Eastern Caribbean, just has a little bit more kick to it. And there's going to bring some more scattered showers. So if you live in Anegada or Road Town Tortola, Virgin Gorda, Yost Van Dyke, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, Vieques, Culebra, and of course Puerto Rico itself, watch out for widespread rain beginning late Saturday and into Sunday, picking up on Monday as well. Again, right on through the weekend and into early next week, solid rain chances. And this is one that actually could have a little bit more rain with it. It's the same situation for the Leeward Islands. I feel like for the last several weeks, I've been talking about, look, any rain this area gets, it's going to be really shallow moisture, so there's just not going to be a lot of heavier rain. Well, starting late tomorrow through at least Sunday, Anguilla, St. Bart's, and Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Kitts and Nevis, and Saba and St. Eustatius and Montserrat could see some locally heavy downpours. That doesn't necessarily mean we got to worry about any flooding whatsoever, but there's just better quality of the moisture coming through, so that's going to provide more lift in the atmosphere. Again, that disturbance is going to provide that opportunity to get us some decent rainfall totals in these areas. It's not just about the fact that we have an elevated rain chance, it's the fact that some of those could produce some decent downpours. Same situation for Guadeloupe and Dominica and Martinique. Best chance for rain will be over the next 24 to 36 hours. St. Lucia and South. It'll actually dry out a little bit quicker here in the Windward Islands compared to the Leeward Islands. So, St. Vincent and Barbados and the Grenadines and Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago will see your highest rain chances over the weekend, and then most areas will fall a bit as we get into Monday. Rain chances should be decent in the ABC Islands at least through tomorrow. So maybe late tonight, maybe have a morning shower on Saturday in Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, Willemstad, Oranjestad, places like that. Should dry out a bit Sunday and into Monday. Again, pockets of locally heavy downpours. Not a lot, though, overall is expected. And Bermuda will enjoy a relatively quiet and dry weekend ahead. So this is what it looks like for you guys, island by island. If you're new to the channel, I just run you through the next 3 days across our islands. Northwest, Central, and Southeast Bahamas, really low opportunity with the Saharan air layer in place. Same situation for Turks and Caicos. Cuba's rain chances are lower than what they have been, still 40 to a 50% chance over the next 3 days. Cayman Islands rain chances are isolated Saturday and Sunday and very low on Monday. Belize City's rain chances with a higher risk for heavier rain through at least early on Sunday. Better chance tomorrow, though, and then falling a bit Sunday and Monday. And Cancun and Cozumel's rain chances aren't outrageously high, but again, some locally heavier downpours. Our best chances all the way through Friday night there, and then tailing off a bit in Cancun and Cozumel over the weekend. Jamaica's rain chances, it's a 40% chance Saturday, Sunday, 30 on Monday, and then look at the building rain chances. Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, 40 tomorrow, 60 to 70 on Sunday, 70% chance on Monday. Bermuda's rain chances are low, and we'll build it up in Anguilla and St. Kitts and Nevis as well. Again, high rain chances, decent rain totals are possible Sunday and into Monday. For the rest of the Lesser Antilles, I like basically a 60% chance across all the islands tomorrow. Northern Islands a little bit higher on Sunday and on Monday, and then falling off a little bit on Monday in St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, again, farther south. But overall, an inflated chance for rain with this next tropical wave coming through the next couple of days. Again, Barbados, Grenada, higher rain chances Saturday and Sunday, should fall a bit on Monday. Still some locally heavier downpours. Again, some kicked up sea conditions as well. TNT is just a little bit farther south, where the axis of heaviest rain is going to be. Well, what's interesting is there's a little bit more localized moisture that looks to be coming back in on Monday to keep rain chances there a little bit higher. Suriname and Guyana stay with a good rain chance through Sunday and Monday as well. Nueva Esparta has scattered to isolated storms. Again, the best chance in the ABC Islands is tomorrow, and then drying out a bit on Sunday and Monday. Boy, I got to tell you something. It's still not a fantastic boating forecast over the next several days across the Caribbean. Again, Jamaica, the large wave, strong wind advisory should continue. We've seen some, conditions for portions of the ABC Islands with some small craft advisories. And again, it's all local government and local meteorological services, how they want to term it, whether it's a small craft advisory or some kind of marine advisory. But keep that in mind for a lot of these spots. Now, look, down the road, you see this. We're going to get into that. This model is based off the GFS, and it does have a more wrapped up system trying to move into the Eastern Caribbean as we get towards the beginning of August. Rainfall totals themselves, again, we start off kind of in the sporadic side here, but we really begin to turn the corner towards the end of the month here. So over the next 7 days, watch as we get towards the end of the month. These totals here across the Yucatan, Central America are quite high. Across portions of the Lesser Antilles are quite high. Still drier. Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cuba, Jamaica's kind of back and forth, just really area dependent. When I show you this on the GFS model, just to kind of point out what I'm talking about here, again, on the GFS on my weather system, we can actually pinpoint these spots. So, portions of Costa Rica could have more than 10 inches of rain. That's more than 250 millimeters in just the next 5 days. Coastal Nicaragua on over towards the eastern sides of Honduras, 4+ inches or more than 100 millimeters. Again, 1 inch is 25 millimeters, and this is why we have the excessive rainfall watch for portions of Belize. Potentially, again, more than 4 inches of rain there. Maybe not as much overall for the Bay Islands, but if we average this out, you're looking at 2 to 4 inches in a couple of spots. And again, should be a little bit drier through most of Quintana Roo, drier overall for the Cayman Islands, still favoring central and western sides of Jamaica. But hopefully we get a little bit of rain towards Kingston and even towards the eastern side of the island there. And again, healthier rain totals coming back in. It'd be great to get nearly 4 inches of rain in Port-au-Prince and other areas of Haiti. But you can just see that these numbers, relative to what I've shown you lately in these areas, are higher. They may not be exceptional, but we're not talking about a couple tenths of an inch of rain. We're talking about a couple inches of rain. It wouldn't surprise me if in this area the next few days we get a lot of 2 to 3 inch rainfall totals. And again, the tropical moisture is decent even down here where we get solid numbers. So just a wetter overall forecast as these disturbances have more tropical moisture overall to play with. So I'm going to go back out. Oops, sorry about that real quick. Give me just 1 second here. I don't want to stop the video. Let me load this back up real fast. Shouldn't take more than a half second. All right, so what I want to do now is, let's do this. I want to show you guys the GFS model. It's going to take me 1 second since that did what it did. Hopefully it's not going to take too long because I had it all set up. So I'm going to take the GFS model and I'm going to loop this out through August 3rd. It gets us into the first part of August, but only about 10 days out, okay? Then I'm going to show you the spin in the atmosphere, and we're going to look at the European models to talk about what this is trying to show, all right? I've mentioned in the last couple of videos, the main development region of the Atlantic looks a little bit more impressive here, right towards the end of July and into early on August. We have more waves developing across what we call the intertropical convergence zone. This time of the year, they begin to lift north in latitude, and if they're not fighting the concentrations of Saharan dust we saw all of July, they're going to have more moisture to play with and the ability to wrap up. The models, both of the global models, the GFS and the European, are hinting at better potential of tropical development right at the beginning of the month. Now look, this is one model run. We don't put a lot of weight into any particular model run this far out, but to show you the trends, right? We have trends of a more organized system trying to get into the Eastern Caribbean or closer to our area at the beginning of the month. I don't want to, again, put a lot of weight in what you guys, are seeing as far as one individual run, but I want you to note that the trends, do make this a little bit more of a scenario to monitor. Now, when I show you guys the spin in the atmosphere, so again, that's the GFS. This is also the GFS, and this is what we call the absolute vorticity or the spin. It's not at the surface, but it is a composite of the lower levels. The interesting thing I want you guys to see is as these waves develop, whether it's the first one coming through, the second one coming in towards the 29th and 30th, or the third one that does look to be the strongest of the three, they just hold together better, easy for me to see. They wrap up quicker and they have a more elongated track, meaning that they're held together for longer rather than fighting that Saharan air and only wrapping up right before they get towards the Lesser Antilles. That is all very climatologically correct as we get into early August and we start to see the basin begin to heat up. But you can see, again, some of the spin in the atmosphere just holding on together. And with the newest model run of the GFS, you see a very tight system coming towards the Eastern Caribbean the first couple of days of August. Now, you guys might think, hey, look, the GFS model is always very aggressive, even though we're not talking about 14 to 17 days out. We're talking about 7 to 10, but it's always more aggressive with these systems. Let me show you the European model. This is the broad Atlantic basin. I want you to look into that same area around that same time frame, and you're going to start to see the European ensembles beginning to develop systems, and they actually strengthen them even more as they get closer to the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, off the United States East Coast, but taking a trajectory through the Eastern Caribbean and over the Greater Antilles. This takes you out to the evening of August 5th. Again, that is the general Atlantic basin. I'm going to show you the same model, but I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to step this side of the map before I wrap it up. So take a look again right here. Second, third, you have several of the ensemble members beginning to show signs of life with tropical development. Same model, same time frame. I stopped it late on the evening of the 5th of August. And again, you have multiple areas here near the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, but they started their genesis, if you will, just east of the Lesser Antilles and through the Greater Antilles. The bottom line is, I think things are just going to get a lot more active in that part of the area right towards the end of July, the first few days of August. It's one of those day-to-day monitoring things, but the models are beginning to hold on to solutions for tropical waves to hold together and become stronger east of our area to have more impacts as they move through. Friends, it's going to be that time of the year. We'll watch it for you. Appreciate you. You can follow us across all of our social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it's mymeteomundo@gmail.com. As always, you have a specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. While you're down there, thanks for taking a quick second and liking and subscribing. Please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lane Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. You want to help someone who supports the channel? Check them out. leanonmelaw.com is the website. Have a great rest of your day. I'm back soon with your latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, watching the tropics for you right here at Meteo Mundo.